AITA for cutting off a long-term friend group after they treated my daughter's best friend like shit? So, this might be a long one. Reddit, I really need some perspective because I feel like I'm losing my mind over what happened last weekend. It's been eating away at me, and I need to know, am I in the wrong here, or did I have every right to do what I did? First off, let me set the scene a bit. My husband, Keith, and I have been close friends with this group of people for over a decade, like 12 years, which feels like a lifetime when you're raising kids. We met Cindy and John when our oldest was about 4, and our younger ones were still in diapers. You know how it goes. You meet through your kids, the kids become friends, and suddenly you're spending every weekend together. Cindy and John were always easygoing. We'd have BBQs, and they'd bring their 2 girls, sweet little things, one's 9 now, the other's 5. Then there's Travis and Janelle, who joined the group a bit later. They got 6 kids. Yes, 6. It's chaos whenever we get together, but it's a kind of beautiful chaos that you only get when a bunch of kids are running around while the adults sit by the fire and pretend they're still in control. The thing is, we own this private lakefront property. It's not huge, but it's enough to feel like a retreat, and every summer, we've opened it up to the group for weekends, sometimes even weeks at a time. The kids love it. We love it. It's a great escape from the daily grind. Normally, summers are our favorite time of year because it's when we can just be together, relax, and let the kids run wild. But this summer has been different. My 14-year-old daughter, who we'll call Emily, has had a rough go of it the last few years. She's always been a little on the shy side, a little socially awkward, and middle school was hell for her. I won't go into too many details, but the bullying got so bad that at one point, Keith and I were genuinely terrified for her mental health. We had to pull her out of school for a bit and get her into therapy. She was in such a dark place, and we felt utterly helpless. As parents, you want to fix things for your kids, but sometimes you just can't. It was heartbreaking to watch her lose her light, and I was terrified that we were losing her too. That's where Hannah comes in. Hannah's been Emily's best friend for about a year now. She's the kind of kid who's had to grow up way too fast. Her parents are addicts, so she's basically had to learn to fend for herself. She doesn't really have anyone looking out for her, and because of that, she's kind of rough around the edges. She's not great with social cues, and to be honest, she doesn't really dress in a way most people would consider appropriate for a 14-year-old. Her clothes are often too small, too tight, and sometimes a little too revealing. But it's not because she's trying to be provocative or anything. It's just all she has. And honestly, who's teaching her otherwise? Despite everything Hannah's been through, she's a good kid. She's sweet, respectful, and always eager to help. She calls me Mom, and it warms my heart every time. But the thing I'm most grateful for is what she's done for Emily. Since Hannah came into her life, Emily has changed. She's opened up, she's smiling again. She's engaging with the world in a way I hadn't seen in years. For the first time in so long, I feel like I have my daughter back, and I owe a lot of that to Hannah. So yes, I'm very protective of this girl. She's practically family at this point. Now, here's where things started to go wrong. Last weekend, we were hosting one of our regular summer get-togethers at the lake house. The usual crew was there: Cindy, John, Travis, Janelle, and all the kids. It was one of those lazy Saturdays where everything seemed perfect. We had a bonfire going, the kids were playing music and dancing, and the adults were sitting around the fire, sipping beers and talking about life. It felt like one of those rare moments where everything was just right, or at least it seemed that way. At some point during the evening, I noticed that Emily was acting a little off. She's not always the most expressive kid, so I wasn't too alarmed at first, but when she came up to me around 8 p.m. and said, "Mom, Hannah's crying and wants to go home," I knew something was seriously wrong. I asked her what happened, but she just said, "You should talk to Hannah." So, I went to find her. Hannah was sitting by herself, curled up in one of the Adirondack chairs near the fire pit, her face buried in her hands. She was sobbing. My heart broke for her instantly. I sat down next to her and tried to calm her down enough to talk. After a few minutes, she finally managed to tell me what had happened. Apparently, while Keith and I had been talking with the other adults, Cindy had pulled Hannah aside and told her that she had been there long enough and needed to go home. When Hannah asked why, Cindy told her that John was uncomfortable with the way she was dressed and the way she was dancing. He didn't want their daughters around her because he thought she was being inappropriate. And, to make matters worse, Cindy wasn't the only one who thought this. Travis, Janelle, and even John himself all chimed in, agreeing that Hannah's behavior wasn't appropriate for a 14-year-old. They basically all ganged up on her while my husband and I weren't there. I could feel the anger boiling inside me as she told me this. How dare they? How could a group of adults, people who had known us and our kids for over a decade, turn on a young girl like that, especially one who's been through as much as Hannah? I was livid, but I knew I had to stay calm for Hannah's sake. Once I got her calmed down, I promised her that she didn't have to go anywhere and that she was welcome at our house anytime. Then, I marched straight back to the group by the fire and let loose. I didn't hold back. I told them all to pack their stuff and leave. They looked completely shocked, like they couldn't believe I was mad. When I mentioned Hannah, John had the audacity to say, "You have to understand where I'm coming from. I'm a grown man, and I don't need some half-dressed teenager dancing around me." I also don't want my daughters thinking that's okay. That was the final straw. How dare he? Hannah wasn't anywhere near him. She was dancing with Emily and the other teens, minding her own business. But the way he twisted her innocent behavior into something disgusting, it just made me sick. The fact that a grown man could look at a young girl who's been through so much and make her feel like she was doing something wrong simply for existing? No, absolutely not. I stood my ground. I told them all to get out. Sydney tried to reason with me, saying their kids were asleep in the tents and that they had a long drive ahead of them. But I didn't care. I wasn't going to let them stay another minute on my property after what they had done. They ended up packing up and leaving, but not without some muttered comments about how I was overreacting. Maybe I was. I don't know. All I know is that I couldn't sit by and let them make Hannah feel like she didn't belong. Not when this girl has been nothing but good to my daughter. Not when she's been the reason my daughter is still here, still smiling. After they left, Keith and I had a long talk. He agrees that they were out of line, but he thinks I might have been too quick to cut them off like that. He thinks maybe we should have had a conversation, worked it out, and tried to understand where they were coming from. But honestly, I don't think I could have handled it any differently. They attacked a child. They made her feel unsafe and unwelcome in what should have been a safe space. How could I ever forgive that? So, Reddit, am I the asshole for kicking them out and cutting ties with the group over this? Or did I do the right thing by standing up for Hannah?